Hi, I'm Kitty, and I'll be talking to Mitchell about his upcoming album and the music he's already released earlier this year. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm nervous. Don't know
Why
why.
this?
Nervous.
It's just like a baseline call.
True, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to jump right in. So,
Oh,
going to
okay.
start with your EP, because that was what you released first.
Yeah.
So, how quickly did you write this one?
So I read the AP over 2 days and produced it all in 2 days, so it was really quick process to
I
get that
remember
one finished.
you were like, I've got my EP coming out like this Friday or whatever, and I was like, since when was this a thing?
Yeah, I wrote it really quick. Um, yeah, I think I started at the start of the week and it was out by like middle of the week, and everyone was like, "Well, I was doing a promo," and I was like, "I'm just bored." But yeah,
Well, that's always good. We like hearing your new music. And then shortly after that, you released your single. So, what was the process like for that? Was it easier than the EP? Was it harder? What was it like?
um, it was a bit. It was. I'd always wanted to write the song, but it was a bit like, when do I do it? Because I was going to release it after the album, and I was like, no. So I started working on it in about what's it now? I would say May I started working on it, and then I finished it like obviously mid June. And I'm the worst because I always give releases before we even finish. So I was like, I'm not gonna get it done, but I got it done in time, and I'm happy with the outcome. It was probably one of the hardest songs that I've written because it was like, how do I portray this message without it seeming like I'm aiming at people? It's more like a generalized message. And yeah, I really enjoyed writing that song.
That's good. And I know you've been writing the album for a lot longer than you wrote your EP and your single. How
Oh my
long have
god,
you been writing
yes.
the album for? When did you start it?
About 2017, that's when I started the album. But there's so many songs that have been cooked. Like I didn't have like actual like a concept at first. It was more like, here's some songs, I want to make an album. And I was like, no, but it weren't working. And then eventually I got the idea of Revival, and I thought that's a really good idea to go by. I wish I'd got some songs that I've written, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, some of my songs in the album when I've wrote them. But yeah, the writing process started in 2017, which is how long ago? 4 years ago.
4 years
Yeah.
ago. Wow. I mean, kind of leading on from that, I was going to ask you, were there any songs that you started writing, way back when, that are now completely different to how you originally intended them to be?
100%. Songs like "Revive Me," that was not maybe that long. It was maybe a shorter song, but you know me. I feel like because that's one of the things that I play on the piano. So I'll actually play it. My piano's right here, but you can't see it because yeah. But it's one of the songs that I was just like, I'd rather be long and then have like the full story rather than being short and people being like, oh, but I wanted more. I feel like all my songs are kind of like a story, and I feel like you can't just leave a story halfway through. So you've got to make sure everything's there that you need.
So, like, speaking of stories, does the order of your track list tell a story through it, or is it each one like a self contained story?
I would say, yeah, it's kind of chronological during my life, but I would say the first like four songs are like from when I first started writing, and the other ones are more recent songs. But it depends because there's some like older ones that are quite far down, so it's kind of like content stories in their own with their own different message. I feel like it's kind of like stories within their own rather than the overall story.
Right, so just picking up on the messages you were talking about, like, talk us through your track list. Like, what's the meaning behind each song? What's the message that you like intended to put across?
Okay. So obviously the album starts with Revival, which is obviously the name of the album too. And that's basically a short song which is introducing the album. So there's no real meaning towards that apart from opening the album up. Yeah, that's the first one. Don't we run through them all?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, then Last Goodbye is something from my granddad who passed away in 2011. This is the first I ever wrote, my first ever original song. And everyone's always like, oh my God, really? Because it's one of the favorites. And they're like, oh my God, I love this song. How did you write that when you were in like, how old were I been then? I think I remember even before 2017 for that song, because I wrote it like, I was in like year nine, I think.
Gosh.
That's like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not almost six. So yeah, the album started way before that. That's one of the songs on the album. And it took until last year to eventually release.
Mhm.
I performed it, but I never released it. So that's that one. Then My Angels, another one from my Aunt Nancy who passed away. So it's kind of like two depressing songs, one after the other. She passed away later. That's why My Angels after Last Goodbye. Because it's like, that's kind of like chronological order of like that kind of stuff. And the album moves into Poison Heart, which is where like the T starts. No, there's no T. There's no T. This. I wrote this one after Last Goodbye. So this one was written in like 2017 as well, probably is. And it's basically about how you can see the negative traits in someone, but no one else can, and then no one else believes you until it's too late. And then they're the ones that are like they complain and think, "Oh, I would never have known. Why didn't that to me?" And I'm sitting there saying, "Well, ha ha ha! I told you it was going to happen, but you didn't listen to me, so it's your own fault, basically." Then it moves into mistakes, which is one of my favourites. But it was meant to feature Caitlin, but unfortunately I cut off from the song. Well, she weren't necessarily cut. It was more like I'd rather do a solo version and keep the album a whole solo rather than having one little feature.
You
And
can
then
fit
I
it
thought,
that's part of the songwriting process.
if I do the Looks album, which I might do, I might not do, I can always add features, so I could like feature on Mistake for the duet, because you see that quite often there'll be a solo version, then there'll be a duetted version. So it's basically about, the song is about kind of like, I make the mistake and I do it again, and then why do I make that same mistake? And then I'm like in the same place. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like one of the lines in the song is why do I make a stupid mistake? But it's like over and over again. It's like you think I'd learn eventually, but like no, I'm gonna carry on doing it because I'm one human.
Sounds
Yeah,
like a thing in our texts, doesn't it?
yeah, literally. And then there's Walls.
My
So
favorite.
Walls is about Walls is about kind of like letting people in and helping you when you need like help. So it's kind of like building this wall up and kind of like trying to let it down and like your friends help and let like people care about you. That's kind of that meaning. Then A Thousand Eyes is kind of about like anxiety. So it's like a thousand eyes always watching. It's like you feel like there's the pressure of kind of like society, which is kind of like one of them things that I feel like everyone nowadays faces. I feel that's like the album itself is quite relatable. I think the songs that I've said so far which are quite relatable. Obviously, it was like Lost. There's like Trust Issues, that kind of stuff. It's all quite relatable. And there's Revive Me, which is about when you find that one person in your life, and then like when you're in a dark place, they like bring you back to life. Basically, it's like the kind of like idea of revival which comes through the album. So I feel like the most similar song to the concept is Revive Me, because it's kind of like revival, revive me. It's kind of like that person who's like, let's take your life again. It's kind of like quite a nice message for that one. Although it's very depressing. It's a depressing song. But yeah. Then there's You Let Me Down, which is
Song, so I wouldn't expect anything less.
none of my songs are happy. If you want a happy song, you came in the wrong place, honestly. Then there's You Let Me Down, which is self-explanatory. It's like when you trust someone and they let you down. And yeah, that's one of like the last ones in the writing process that I'm still writing. That's right, isn't it? That's fine. I've wrote all the production's done, but I'm still in the middle of writing it. But it'll definitely be done in September. Kind of like You Let Me Down. I knew you would let me down, but I still thought, oh, let's just play along. Then there's Don't Go, which is like I know that I've been a bit of a idiot, but like please don't go. Just stay because I didn't mean it. I know you gave us 1,000 chances, but I'm just gonna ask one more time. Don't go because I actually need you. But yeah, it's kind of I think everyone does that. Everyone pushes someone away, then they're like, shit, what have I done that for? It's kind of one of them things I think everyone goes through. So once again, quite a relatable concept. Then there's Lost in an Abyss. One like I think you've heard a little bit of that one. I love it so much. It's probably one of the darkest ones, to be fair. It's kind of like that point where you just like you feel lost and you feel like there's no going back, and that's quite kind of deep, isn't it? Like you feel like there's no going back, and it's kind of that idea of like well, the concept of the song is kind of like having someone who you thought would help you, and then them just like helping you or like being there for you when it benefits them and not benefits you, and they can save you all getting lost in like the metaphor of being in the abyss, and you can like floating away, and then them being like, oh, well, I'm fine, so you can just go. And it's kind of dark, isn't it? That song. Oh, and then Nothing Left to Say is I think the only love song really in the album. It's kind of like the idea of I'm also still writing this one. This is in the writing process too, but it's like the backing track's done. It's beautiful. My favorite arrangement from the whole album. I love it so much. Um, but yeah, it's kind of like I trusted you. I've given you so many chances, and then you finally come back. I'll welcome you back with open arms. In a couple of days, I've nothing left to say, but then I'll be left there with plenty to say. Then I'm just left there thinking, why did I do that over and over again? When you're sat there, nothing left to say, you're just going to leave when you got what you want, and I'm sat here with plenty to say, just thinking, why me, that kind of thing. It's the only love song on the album, which I think I kind of hard to write love songs with like I've never been in love, but it's more like the kind of thing that I am just like when you have like been in a situation, it's like how you deal with it, that kind of thing. It is The People I Love, which is kind of happy song actually. It's kind of happy. It isn't fast, but it's kind of happy. What was that, sorry?
I've heard a little bit of this, haven't I?
I don't
Like
think
the
so.
backing track. I suppose
You've heard the backing track, yeah. You've heard the backing track, yeah. A little bit of the backing track. It's kind of like it's basically songs about The People I Love. It's like it's being grateful for them in your life, kind of thing. It's like thank you, literally thank you. It's kind of a similar concept to Glad You Know that's a lie, totally, it's a lie. But the same idea of like being thankful and like just being thankful basically.
Mhm.
And then there's Never Again, which is kind of like a conclusive song, which is kind of like all the mistakes that I've made that you've heard about in this album. I'm not going to do it again. But then basically that's a lie because I'm going to do it again. But it's all a life lesson. End of the album.
Nice. So you kind of talked about it already, like a little bit. But how far along in the songwriting process, like the production process, are you?
I would say I'm happy. I'm happy where I am. I'm not going to give too much away, but I'm happy with where I am at the minute. The songs that are done, I listen to them and I'm like, yes, that's good. And every single song on the album's got a backing track, got a production. It's more like adding the lyrics and the vocals to make sure it's the best thing possible. I would say the hardest song that I'm having to do with the minute is Lost in the Abyss because it's such a big song, kind of like the ones that I feel like will be everyone's favourite. Kind of, I think it's one of the ones that I've used for like promotion and stuff. So I feel like everyone's kind of like, oh, I'm looking forward to that one. But they're all, I would say I'm happy where I am. That's my answer. Like, I'm happy where I am in the right process.
That's good. So are there any of the songs that you're like nervous for anybody to hear?
I would say 1,000 Eyes. I feel like it's the one that I love it, but I feel like everyone's a bit like it's the most different song from them all. It's kind of a bit more like it's more like much more stripped back, and it's more like and my aim was just like songs about anxiety, so you just feel a bit like listening to it. It's a bit like one of them songs, but I still love it, and I feel like I'm also nervous to listen to Lost in the Abyss. It's kind of like one of like the darker meanings, but I feel like I'm excited for everyone to hear them all. I feel like when people listen and I'm like, oh, did you like 1,000 Eyes? And then if they're like, no, I'll be like, oh. I don't really care because I like them, so yeah.
I mean, I know as a songwriter, you're going to love them all, but which song are you most excited for everyone to hear?
Well, I would say I'm excited for everyone to hear, obviously, Revive Me, Walls, but they don't really count because everyone's already heard them. I would say I'm most excited for everyone to hear Nothing Left to Say, because honestly, the arrangement of that song is honestly, it's beautiful. I love it so much. I'm so proud of myself for that arrangement, but it's like, that's one of them tunes where you're just like, oh yes, yeah, I love it so much.
Great, that was my last question, so thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Well, asking
No
me.
bother. It's been nice talking to you. I feel like it's been nice getting a little hint of the album out. I feel like I'm always like, I'm that kind of person that if I was on a TV show, I could not do spoilers. I'd be the worst for it. And it's nice to have like a little bit of hints on what the song might be about, and people can like get a little idea of what the favourite song might be.
Love to get excited and want to listen as soon as it comes out.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for speaking to us. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for asking me.
No bother. Bye.